Live from Sin City, it's the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Giant Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. Shane's with us. How you doing tonight, Shane?
I am melting up here in the Northwest. I know that's nothing considered to a lot of you people down south, but it is hot up here. How are you, Griffin?
I can tell you it's only 105 right now, which is like a breeze compared to what it's been.
Oh, yeah. I heard you guys actually set a record at like 120 or something like that.
We set a record at 120 last weekend, and then we had like the most consecutive days of 115 plus degrees.
Yeah, it's 86, but it feels like 120 to me here. So,
Well, I was in Phoenix yesterday to see the Diamondbacks play the Toronto Blue Jays, and it really wasn't any cooler over there than it is here. It was basically the same.
what does a Star Wars Lourdes Gurriel Jr. bobblehead look like?
You know, I don't know because I did not take it out of the packaging. It's kind of my tradition that I don't take the bobbleheads out when I look at them. So I'll have to Google that and have someone else's experience of opening it up.
Oh, wow. So when you wind up selling your bobblehead collection, it will go for billions of dollars because they're all unopened.
I don't know about billions, but it'll certainly increase the value of it. There wasn't
Yeah.
really a photo on the box of the bobblehead like I've seen on other ones.
Yeah, it just showed Lourdes Gurriel Jr. with crazy hair, which I was like, but that's not what his bobblehead looks like, obviously. So,
Well, maybe we'll have to take a look at it at some point, but I'm not opening mine up to find out.
gotcha.
So that game yesterday was a really, I like to say it's a boring game, but it was also like 12-1. It was an odd kind of boring game.
Yeah.
The way the pitching was just really bad. I'm not like the biggest fan of strikeouts, but I also don't like watching guys just walk people over and over again. By the time it got to the sixth inning, each team had 8 walks. Well, 8 walks combined, and then 3 strikeouts total between the two teams. And it was just unreal. I had not seen a situation like that in an actual live baseball game, and it really took me out of it. Eventually, though, the game did kind of pick up, and Corbin Carroll scored a 3-run home run, and it was 8-1 in like the bottom of the seventh. And I'm thinking to myself, this game's over with the way that the Blue Jays are pitching. And then I kind of mosey my way out to the exit. And then by the time I was driving back to my hotel, I got a little fantasy clicker notice that Corbin Carroll had hit a second home run of the night. And mind you, he had only hit 3 home runs this year going into this game. So I was like, after that first home run, I was thinking, okay, I've seen everything I need to see tonight. This game's over. It's already like almost 3 hours into this game. And I'm done. I'm going home. I got to drive back the next day.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll's good for a week on home runs. So.
Yeah, I mean, he hit home run, I think, last Saturday or last Sunday. So that's where like number 3 came from. So he had like 2 home runs combined up until like the first weekend of July. And I thought I was safe there, but apparently not. At least I started him on my fantasy team. I had that much sense.
Well, and at least it's a good sort of, leaving early or not paying attention as opposed to a bad one.
Yeah, and I don't really have any horses in this race at all either. So Diamondbacks, Blue Jays, I thought the Blue Jays would be a lot better, but they just were really bad. I don't know what that team is going to be doing in the next couple of weeks, but we'll talk about that on a future episode because we are at the All-Star break.
Woo! Midsummer Classic. Let's go.
Yeah, and they changed the rules in fantasy this year, at least on Yahoo, because usually the long week starts with the All-Star break. But this year they've made the All-Star break the second week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like this current week that's going on, it'll close out after the end of next week with the last 3 days. It's kind of unusual.
Oh man, that's not. Oh man, I played my players the opposite way though.
I know I didn't notice that until like Monday when I saw the little note up there, and I was like, well, I made 2 roster moves today thinking I had a regular week instead of a long week.
Gosh, wow. Okay, well, I guess I'll try to increase the score I already have going. So
Yeah, I mean, you only got 3 days left.
yeah.
So
It's interesting because at the beginning of the year they did it the opposite way. So they like switched it for the Midsummer Classic, which is, it's entirely up to them, don't get me wrong, but I don't know why you do it the same way you've always done it at the beginning of the year and then opposite in the Midsummer Classic.
yeah, I don't know. Some leagues though, like on CBS, I've heard they will just play the 3 days as like 1 week, which is insane when you think about that. Just having the craziness that can happen in 3 days and have that count the same as like a whole week.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just hope you just play everyone who's hot and hope it works out, I guess. So
Yeah, and some of those leagues are weekly leagues too. So you basically just have like one window to set your lineup, and then that's it.
yeah.
I'm not sure if I would want to play in one of those kind of leagues.
I would not like to. So I'm happy to play in the league in which I play in, Griffin, which you are the commissioner of. So
yeah, and I'm glad you're saying that without any fear of retaliation or anything.
So let's get to like, who do you think who do you think is going to win the home run derby? I'm curious to hear that.
I was kind of hoping to look at that after I've had time to do my recordings and editing tonight because I've barely looked at it. If I had to guess right now, and I guess we'll make these picks official for at least for this podcast, because we have a contest internally on our fantasy league where I was going to make my picks there. I'm going to go with Marcell Ozuna.
Okay.
I think he's kind of a bit of a dark horse, but he's got the power. They've changed the format this year.
I mean, they all have the power, so.
Well, I don't know about Alec Bohm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I agree with you.
I made the mistake last year of picking Mookie Betts to win the Derby.
Yeah. Okay.
And that
so
was
you learned your lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to at least pick a big guy who looks like he can actually swing and hit the ball a little bit. But I'm
surprised that Vladdy didn't want to defend his title, but.
Well, I mean, nobody really wants to do the home run derby. I was hearing rumblings that they made Pete Alonso an all-star so that he would do it.
Wow. Honestly, given the other first baseman in the all-star break, I would agree with that.
On the National League side, you mean?
Yeah.
Because Christian Walker is a glaring omission to me, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And is a glaring omission in the home run derby.
Well, I mean, everybody's a glaring omission in the home run derby because nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's a curse. It's like the cover of MLB The Show. So.
Well, not always. People generally think that the home run derby will wreck their swings. And
which is why Aaron Judge never does it.
Well, he did it his rookie year, and then I think he went like 0 for 20 coming out of the All-Star break.
Yeah, which is why he doesn't do it anymore.
I've also heard the guys talk about how it's tiring, it's exhausting. They kind of hurt themselves a little bit just doing all those swings. I
Well, it
know,
makes sense because they're only the guy's only throwing it like 60, 70 miles an hour. So all the power is literally coming from themselves. So,
yeah. One thing that they've decided to do this year is they've changed the number of pitches per round. It's not that
oh,
they're like
interesting.
trying to crank out like as much as you can do. They've limited to, I believe, 40 pitches during the 3 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
And they've added rules in there where you get like bonus time if you hit a home run a certain distance. I think it's 425 feet.
Well, they lowered it to because it was 440. So
Yeah,
they lowered it to 425.
yeah. So, but they've changed the rules a bit on the total number of pitches, and I think that's supposed to help out with it. And they've also changed it so it's the first. There's no brackets this year until the
Oh, yeah,
second
I heard
round.
that. Yeah, yeah,
So like that's making it picking it a lot more difficult because you basically just have to pick like the top eight
yeah,
overall because four of them are going to get eliminated, and then the brackets are going to be determined by the four that advance, and there's no way you're going to know who those are in advance. That's unrealistic.
yeah, absolutely.
So, what do you think about the rosters of each of the all-star teams now that it's pretty much locked in place? A lot of the guys that we were talking about kind of either backed out or got hurt when we were making our lists. Like
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Glasnow, for example, is on the injured list, and he is basically has a back injury. I use that term loosely because I honestly think that he's just got a slight owie and he just doesn't want to pitch. So they're going to just let him rest during the 10 days and take 15 days and take advantage of that. Chris
Yeah.
Sale basically said on Tuesday, like on Mondays, like I'm not pitching in the thing. Move my start back a day so that I'm pitching on Sunday because you have that rule where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start a
exactly.
game on Sunday, you are automatically ineligible to pitch. So Chris
Yeah.
took advantage of that.
Well, before I get into this, I'm just going to say Jose Ramirez is my pick to win the home run derby for
Yeah,
this
he's a
podcast.
dark horse, but he's definitely
Yeah.
got the chops to do it.
Yeah. I think Gunnar Henderson, but as far as I know, watching rookies and young kids go up there vis-a-vis Julio Rodriguez, I can't put all my eggs in the Gunnar Henderson basket
I feel like
because
though, as a rookie, you have an advantage.
to hit the most home runs in the first round,
Well, I'm talking about
they just gas
winning the whole
themselves out.
thing,
So,
though.
oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't pick Adolis Garcia
yeah, right.
because of the home field factor. But I'm pretty sure I'm Googling it now.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get the winners here.
I mean, as far as the way that the All-Star lineup looks like, starters and reserves,
Yeah,
the way that it's been finalized now, I mean, I other than maybe Alec Boehm playing third base in the National League, I really don't have that much to complain about as far as like who's in there and who's not. I mean, like Elliot Ramos is on my fantasy team, so I'd like to see him in the outfield, especially since um, Christian Yelich is prone to injury and he's been playing the whole year and is the only reason why San Francisco is in the hunt for the wild card. But I think that might be my only complaint. What about you?
well, before we get to my complaints, I just want to mention that Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso won the home run derby as rookies.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well,
so it is
showed me
entirely
something. So
possible. It is entirely possible, but at the same time, guys like Todd Frazier have won the home run derby too.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
The Todd father.
The Todd father.
So yeah, we'll see who wins there. My biggest complaint about at least the National League roster is why is Matt Strom on here? The only reason anybody knows who this guy is because there's a photo of him where he's got the long hair and the mustache and the beard and he looks like Nicolas Cage from Con Air.
You're, wow, you are absolutely right. That is spot on.
Oh, well, they make those jokes online all the time about him. And I'm thinking to myself, why is a guy like Trevor McGill of the
Yeah.
Milwaukee Brewers omitted from there? Because I'm looking at, Strom's stats and he has good numbers, don't get me wrong, but he's not pitching in any kind of a high leverage situation. He's
Yeah, and that
not
might be
even
the reason why is he
he's
just
not
looks
even
good on
really getting
paper.
holds. He
Yeah.
only has like 7 holds on the season, no saves. McGill's got easily close to 20 saves on the year, pitching for the surprise, Brew Crew who are leading the National League Central. The guy is
Oh, absolutely
word.
crushing it. Yeah, I was happy to see that Will Smith took a seat to William Contreras because I think that's justified. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue about starters or reserves because that's really a popularity contest more than anything.
yeah, I mean that's true.
And there's injured players on the rosters, so they have to kind of work around that. What do you think about Paul Skeens starting the National League team for the
Oh
National
man, I was literally going to ask you the same question. I think that Paul Skeens starting in the National League is the same as George Kirby last year. Whereas you don't have like this proven person over the course of a year. They got brought up. They're absolutely electric, don't get me wrong, and have stuff on top of stuff. But we'll see next year if he makes it or not, I guess. I mean, what do you think about it?
I think the reason that he is starting, for one thing, he's played very well to start the year. He's done some crazy things where he's had, multiple 7 inning no-hit performances with 11 plus strikeouts that
Yeah.
only a handful of players have ever done in their careers, let alone in their first 11 starts.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think the real reason is that he has a famous girlfriend,
Oh,
Olivia
I
Dunn.
don't know this. So who is his girl? Sorry.
Olivia
I don't.
Dunn, who is an LSU gymnast, and she's got a major social media following.
I have no idea who Olivia Dunn is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, believe me, she's well known because I was getting posts about this woman on social media on my Facebook related to baseball for like the last year. And I'm wondering why is this gymnast keep popping up in my feed? And it's because she's dating Paul Skeens.
Well,
And
is she at least in Paris this year?
I don't even know if she's on the Olympic team. I mean she's in college, so like that's generally too old for that sort of thing. They usually get the gymnasts before they go to college to be in the on the Olympic team. As far as
Yeah.
I know, but the whole thing is she's this big social media person. She's
Hmm.
got tons and tons of followers and they describe her as this social media sensation. And I feel like this is the same thing what the NFL is tried to do with Taylor Swift. Obviously,
Oh,
not
absolutely. 100%. I agree with you on that.
obviously not, apples to oranges. Taylor Swift's like the biggest pop singer in the world, but MLB is doing what they can with somebody who will probably drum up extra viewers.
Yeah, but you
MLB
got
is,
Queen Bee as well. Don't forget about Queen Bee. So
yeah. I mean, I kept getting posts about Vanessa Hudgens and her MLB playing boyfriend, Cole Tucker, who I don't even think he's on a major league roster right now.
yeah, who knows? That's a case of I guess people know who she is, but who knows who that guy is? So.
Yeah, well, he married her, so he's in there now. But I'm looking. I know he was with the Angels earlier this year, but I don't even think he's actually on their roster right now. I think he's in AAA for the Angels.
Hmm. Who's not on the roster, reserve or pitching or whatever, who you think should be in the American League?
The American League. It's like a lot of the omissions I have are more for the National League.
I know, which is why I asked you about the American, because I'm curious, because I think the American League's like pretty solid, just like apparently, obviously, you do as well.
Yeah, I'm
So
not.
I'm curious if there's any. If there's not any, then I guess what on the National League do you think has been
Bryce
omitted?
Terang is the other name. I mean, I mentioned Christian Walker already. I thought
Yeah.
he's a shoo-in. I was looking at his stats. He's hitting the ball very well. He's got a good batting average, 22 home runs, I think 66 RBIs. Like he is up there in terms of first baseman, and I think he's more deserving than Pete Alonso.
Oh yeah. Do you think he's more deserving than Bryce Harper? Because I could see that there could be an argument made for that. So,
Bryce Harper got more votes than anybody else. I mean, it's an
but he's
excellent.
just one of those guys who's popular, and this is only his second year playing first base. So.
Well, I mean, Bryce Harper's got 21 home runs, hitting 301. He has a 982 OPS,
Yeah.
61 RBI,
I
56
mean, I'm not
runs. I
denying the
mean,
stats are there. I'm just
he's
saying,
deserving. I'm not going to argue Bryce.
yeah,
He's put up enough.
yeah,
He's having better year than his career numbers indicate. So
yeah.
I'm
That's actually true. Yeah,
I'm fine with Bryce. I got no complaint. I mean, he's a bit of a doofus, but he's deserving certainly.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, Luis Ariz is kind of a guy that probably shouldn't be on there in the National League.
Yeah, no power, just hits and
Yeah,
is
yeah,
fast.
he's
So
like Yandy Diaz, but Yandy Diaz didn't make the team, obviously. But
yeah.
I don't want to get into a Yandy Diaz rant.
For another time, because I want to hear your Yandy Diaz rant.
Well,
Because
it's just
Yandy Diaz
because
was my boy. I didn't have him when I won the championship, but I wanted him on my team. So
yeah, last year he had an amazing year, and then this year he's been terrible, and he's like a first baseman that has like 8 or 9 errors on the year, and it's like, how do you have that many errors before the All-Star break as a first baseman?
yeah, that's true.
Clearly not that hard of a
Your job is
position.
to dig the ball out. That's it. So
I mean, at least when Vladdy got some errors, it's usually because the ball just goes through the webbing of his glove,
yeah,
literally through the glove.
yeah.
I don't know how the guy keeps getting errors, but in terms of the reserves, I don't really see any faults with the American League. I am surprised that Kirby didn't make it, or at least another starter on the Seattle side. I know Gilbert made it, and then he dropped out.
He didn't drop out, so he
Well, he's
pitched
unavailable
today.
technically.
Yes, he's unavailable. Yes, but he still
But
gets to go. So
yeah, but I'm just surprised I mean, they added Munoz in,
yeah,
but I'm just not really thinking of anybody off the top of my head. Maybe you could have thrown in Carlos Estevez from the Angels
oh
over
yeah. I mean,
over Tyler Anderson, whose numbers look good on paper, but excuse me, all of the nerds. There's a running joke on one of the podcasts I listen to where they play the Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with this. And they play that every time they talk about Tyler Anderson. because
Well,
like
do you think so? So on Tyler Anderson, I think the Mariners should buy low and make him a good left-handed starting pitcher.
oh man, don't please. You don't want Tyler Anderson. Like the Dodgers fooled everybody into thinking Tyler Anderson's good by,
Yeah,
signing him to that 1 year deal, and then they got like 15 wins out of him. And then the
yeah,
Angels looked at it and was like, let's take this guy from the Dodgers. And then he's been an absolute dumpster fire since.
yeah.
And I
But the
know he's
Angels are a dumpster fire as an organization, and the pitching coaches on the M's turn okay into great. That's the only. I mean, that's the only side of that organization that I believe in. The offensive side is absolute garbage, hot garbage, dumpster fire. But the pitching side, they know how to take okay and make it great.
the other situation with Tyler Anderson is that I believe he still has at least one more year left on his contract at like 11 or 13 million. I'm looking it up now, but
Oh, he's expensive. Yeah,
yeah,
and
he's expensive.
Jerry hates expensive. He prefers over 30 and dying. So
Yeah, he's got another year at $13 million on his contract. So I don't know if they would want him given the cheapness of your organization, unfortunately.
yeah, probably not. So
I know you desperately need a lefty, but I don't think you want this lefty. We can talk about trading targets next week on the show. That's definitely something that we're gonna need to get to. We actually did have a trade this week where Hunter Harvey was traded from the Nationals to the Royals. He's a bullpen arm. The
interesting.
Royals, yeah, the Royals jumped out there and really made one of the first big moves before the deadline.
Well, buying while the buying's good is probably, I mean, the closer it gets to the deadline, I feel the more expensive it gets, which is why everyone in Seattle here, anyway, is like, okay, Jerry, so you don't like to spend money, but you're going to wait till the very end to
Yeah, I
maybe
mean,
do something or not do
you should
anything
be
at
making
all.
the
So,
moves now though, because you
yeah.
get more games of impact with them rather than just waiting 2 more weeks.
Well, one would assume, right? But who knows? I mean, I feel like Jerry likes to give off the um sense that he's being busy making the team better, even though he is not. So,
Now, I know that as we are recording, the MLB draft is going on.
oh
So
yeah, that's true.
that is a focus for all the teams, obviously. But once that is done, I'm sure the attention is going to be shifting towards the actual trading deadline. I've seen some, I don't know if you've been following some of the pitchers out there, but some of the guys on my team have been had their starts kind of cut short today or this
Oh,
past week. Like
okay.
Max Scherzer is another trade target. They only let him go like 4 innings and 71 pitches.
Well, you were also talking about Crochet or
Yeah,
Crockett or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Crochet,
yeah.
who is at his highest innings count in like his life. They
Yeah,
yeah,
in his life, that's a good one.
pretty much. I mean, he's been a reliever his entire MLB career, even in the minors, and he had like 80
Yeah.
innings combined going into this season. He's already over 100. They
Mhm.
pitched him 2 innings on Friday, 2 scoreless innings, didn't even allow a hit, had 4 strikeouts, and he went 28 pitches. And the White Sox were like, "We're done. Get out of there."
Yeah.
And then they said they were gonna monitor his workload, and even went so far to say he's gonna be the fifth starter coming out of the break.
Yeah, well, at
So,
least they're not. I mean, they're not doing it to Tariq Skubal because apparently they're going to keep him. But
well, no, Scooble Dooby Doo plays for a different team, and I think he's probably going to be the front runner for the AL Cy Young Award.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, he plays for the Tigers. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Now, I think the Tigers are going to probably move on from Jack Flaherty, but Flaherty's
Yeah.
on a 1 year deal, so that makes a lot more sense.
Which he turned out to be a pretty good acquisition. So
Yeah, they really managed to fix him, and I was genuinely surprised because I didn't think that was going to be a good signing for them.
yeah. My biggest concern, even though my fantasy team has underperformed this entire year until this last week, was grabbing Riley Green, also from the Tigers, after Tommy John surgery. But he's actually been, I mean, he was named to the reserves and has been playing super well this whole year. So,
Yeah, he was somebody that was kind of wasn't on my list, but I'm not surprised that he made it because he was definitely deserving as an outfielder. It was one of those things when I was making that list where we just didn't have enough names and I had to put Angels and other players
yeah.
in there.
Well, yeah, you got the people who have to play, and I think it's really telling. The teams that have no offense have only pitchers, and then the well-rounded teams have both. So,
I will say because you just reminded me of a guy who I think should be on the All-Star team from the American League, Brent Rooker.
oh yeah, I agree with that.
Brent
Honestly,
Rooker of the Oakland A's. He actually hit 2 home runs today, had 5 RBI, and even going into this game, he has a near 900 OPS for playing for one of the worst teams in baseball. He already had 19 home runs, 57 RBI for
yeah,
that
which
team.
is crazy. Honestly, on that team, I mean,
Yeah,
you can pitch around whoever you want on that team because it doesn't matter. So,
yeah, exactly. They're awful.
yeah,
And he's just doing his thing right there. Even has 5 stolen bases on the year.
yeah, okay,
Like
way to go, man.
that's a good player right there. So
Yeah.
he's somebody that has slipped under the radar and definitely belongs in the All-Star game for the American League.
Yeah, well, so who, if anyone, does he replace then?
I mean, you could argue he could replace Riley Green,
Okay.
maybe Anthony Santander
Yeah, I
from the
would say
Orioles.
Santander, especially since he's a
But
late
Santander
addition.
also has like 24 home runs.
Yeah, but he's coming in hot late,
Yeah.
just like Paul Skeens, just like, a couple of other people.
I think Santander gets in because he's an Oriole
Yeah.
and they're kind of having their moment.
Well, him and Jordan Westberg. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Westberg I think is a little more deserving as an infielder though.
agreed.
But
But
when you look at like the OPS and stuff, like if you factor in today before you factor in today's though, Brookers is like 100 higher than Santander
yeah,
as an
yeah.
outfielder. Like I think that's more of the position. And honestly, David Fry is there. He's listed as a DH.
Yeah.
I know he's like catcher eligible, but I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah. I would
Are-
take aim at. That was the first person I was going to take aim at. So.
yeah, I was looking at the list. I didn't even realize they snuck him in there. I
It's like
mean,
putting Mitch Garver in. I mean, Mitch Garver doesn't have the numbers to even be qualified, but it's
yeah.
the kind of the same difference. So
Yeah, I would say those two are probably the most questionable for Brent Rooker to be replacing those two. I mean,
yeah.
most of the other names are definitely deserving on there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if Carlos Correa plays well at the beginning of the season, it would be hard for him to be above Gunnar Henderson with just the season that he's had this whole entire
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Gunnar Henderson is up
But
there with Judge as the MVP of the league.
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of one of those things where, I don't know, but if he would have started off hot, it would definitely be more of a conversation than just obviously Gunnar Henderson should be the starting shortstop. So
Yeah. Who do you think is going to win the All-Star game? Think it's going to be the American League team or the National League team?
Well, I always, as you know, an American league fan of a team that is in the American League, uh, I'd like to think it's the American League, and we have one more than the National League in general. However, given the, I mean, I honestly think like these guys might actually like play the game the way it's not been played in a really long time. I think that all the people on the team might actually want to win and then play to win. So it could be really interesting. I'm gonna say American League because I always say American League, but I think the National League has equal a chance. A lot of good hitting on the National League. Um, I want to say their pitching is a little shaky, but it's not this year. Maybe, your weak point is Christopher Sanchez and Hunter Green. Shota's been lights out. Reynaldo Lopez has had, a come to Jesus moment and is absolutely fire for the Braves. So, which I had him on my team and then I
Yes.
traded him.
You cut him on
That is like
draft
the
night. You
dumbest
didn't.
decision I've ever made. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? I'm American League. What do you think?
I think it's American League too. And reason I think about this is because Zach Wheeler, I don't think is going to play at the game. He was talking about having back spasms. It listed his day to day. He was supposed to start on Sunday, and I don't think he's going to play in the All-Star game. Chris Sale isn't going to pitch in the All-Star game, and neither is Tyler Glasnow. I think you're spot on about actually Ranger Suarez isn't going to pitch in the game either.
Yeah.
He's got back issues too.
Yeah.
Which might explain why Ranger Suarez has been so bad over the past like 4.
I mean, let's hope so, honestly. Like, I feel for
He
the
got
guy.
rocked against Oakland.
Yeah, there's no reason
I know
for
Oakland.
that
I know Oakland
unless
dominated
something else is
the game.
going on. So,
Yeah, I just think the National League pitching is not up to snuff. I know Max Fried got added in there. I know Christopher Sanchez and Hunter Green got added. And I've heard other podcasts talk about how Hunter Green has apparently done a better job of limiting hard contact this year. I don't know. The American League has so many nasty bats. I don't think the pitching on the National League side is going to be good enough to hold it down. I
mean, you got Anderson, Burns, Crochet, Hauk, Lugo, Reagans, Skubal, and then after you get through that, Class A, Holmes, Munoz, Miller, and I mean Kirby Yates, whatever. But
well, Holmes is somebody I'm not sure should.
Yeah, he's shaky at best, but he's on the New York Yankees, so obviously he gets the nod just because. But
yeah, he's been pretty bad. The whole Yankees in general have been pretty bad over the past month. We were talking last week about how Aaron Boone might not make it through the season, but the way that the Yankees have been playing over the past month or so kind of makes you wonder if he's even going to get fired if they have a slow start after the break. Now, they did win 2 out of 3 against Baltimore, so that's a plus for them. They actually blew the save today with Holmes, but if they at least ended this part on a good note. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah. Shaky Holmes. But I will just say that nothing brings me more joy than when the Red Sox beat the Pinstripes. So
well, I'll tell you, I will end my boycott if the Red Sox actually make serious moves at the deadline.
Okay.
So,
I'm happy to hear that because I think you should have ended your boycott already, but I'm happy to hear that you're up for a change. If they make what moves do you think they should make? Or actually, let's save that for a different episode.
That's
I'm happy to hear that
because I will definitely be thinking about that. I have a couple ideas already in mind, but we'll touch on that subject next weekend when we start talking about the potential targets, and maybe somebody will be moved during the All-Star break. I mean, that would be an excellent time to move a pitcher or somebody so that they can be an impact piece going forward. That's
Yeah,
the show.
absolutely.
That's going to be the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. Do you have any last words?
The first All-Star game was in 1933.
All right. So just over 90 years ago.
Hmm.
Can't wait for it to get to the 100-year mark.
Oh man, I'm buying a Centennial T-shirt. I don't know about you, so
Yeah, I wonder where the event's going to be for the 100th All-Star game. Although,
I mean, I feel like they should pick a classic ballpark, but that's just me.
although it wouldn't necessarily be the 100th because I don't think they had one in 94, and obviously they didn't have one in 2020. So it
It
might
will be the 100th for
100th year since the
the people who
original.
don't, yeah, for the people who don't keep track. For us nerds, we can have our own 100th year, but
And that's assuming there wasn't another one before that, because I know they had like a strike shortened year, I think in like 1981 or 1982. So I don't remember if they had one that year either, but
oh yeah, I mean
that's a Googling for another time.
Absolutely.
I'm Diet Dr. Griffin. You're Shane. Nice having you guys, and see you next week.
Bye now.